and welcome to I Scream, You Scream, your weekly scoop of the most chilling histories, mysteries, and paranormal perplexities. I'm Gina.
I'm Kathryn, and this is Cinnamon.
Hi, Cinnamon. She wants to join in today. The topic for October is witches, and while we talk about witches, we are enjoying some ice cream cake in celebration of our very first pod birthday. So once again, happy birthday to us, if we have not said it enough. Sorry, not sorry. In case you missed it, the Ice Cream You Scream Patreon is now live, and we already have a few goodies on there. We have a very spooky story about the so-called Village of Witches, and we may or may not have created extended playlists for our funerals. So you can check out all of that and more when you join Patreon for less than the cost of a little scoop of ice cream. It's just $3 a month.
It's true.
I thought that was an apt comparison. Huge shout out to Kathryn's parents, our very first Patreon supporters. So happy you're here. So you too can join the fun along with Ken and J Beebs when you subscribe to Patreon. I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway, grab a spoon and let's dig in.
First and foremost, it's Halloween week.
Oh my God. It is, isn't it?
Totally forgot.
I forgot about that too.
We're recording a little early. Yes, so first and foremost, happy Halloween to everyone. Spooky season all year round, so don't worry. It's not over. It won't be over ever. So just stick around with us, and it'll be Halloween all year round. With that being said, what are your questions, Gina?
Well, I know, because I know you, that you had a very exciting weekend. And you went to a couple of cool places, and I want to hear about it, because we haven't talked about it much at all.
One of the ways we celebrated spooky season is we went to a place I've been dreaming of going for a very long time. And by that I mean like roughly a year-ish. And that is the International Clown Hall of Fame in Baraboo, Wisconsin.
It's so terrifying.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, etc., it was every bit as riveting as it sounds like it was, and every bit as creepy, even though they don't mean to be. It just is by default in the most wonderful way. It was fantastic. To make our journey worthwhile, we also went to the Root Beer Museum, about 15 minutes away. That was for Phil, and we got an extensive history tour on root beer here in America. And I gotta say, Phil and I gave this poor man a little bit of a run for his money. I don't think he was used to so many questions and so much prior knowledge to root beer and its making and history and where it's going next. As my husband has, as someone who is a proud member of the root beer subreddit and an active member. Yeah, it was fun. I drank more root beer than I've ever drank in my life. Worth noting, I don't like root beer. But it was fun. There were some that were okay. They were sippable for me. So yeah, we had a root beer and clown day. And then, obviously, the clown museum. You know what it is? It's the Hall of Fame / Research Center. So one of our questions for him was, hey man, what the hell are you guys researching?
Yeah.
And it actually was really interesting. So the research they do is just really historical research, and also like they basically collect all of this information, and they're the place to go if someone is looking for like accurate historical information on clowns. So for example, they've worked with the team from Modern Family on an episode where someone was dressing up as a clown.
Oh yeah,
because they wanted to know. Yes, because they wanted to know, like, okay, in this situation, what would the shoes look like? What would the outfit look like? I actually learned so much about clowns. There's honestly so much that goes into it, more than just, like, goofy people piling into cars. It was very interesting. There was, like, a lot of really fun tidbits like that. He made running away and joining the circus sound very fun. And I'm like, I straight up said, man, I wish that I could. It's too late for me. He was like, it's never too late to join the circus. I was like, really, Greg? You made it?
I would if I could, but I don't know what I would do in a circus.
So that's the problem. And I didn't go into all this with him, but I'm going to go into it with you because When I was little, I literally used to like stretch and bend and balance on things, trying to test out whether or not I would make it in the circus. The consensus was I would not. I just don't have I couldn't be a clown because I don't do like physical comedy very well. I don't have great balance, so I really wanted to be a tightrope walker. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the like anyone that was in like the sparkly outfit, but she was the one that I mostly wanted to be. But I don't know. I've had a lot of inner ear infections. My balance is not so good. So that was just not in the cards for me.
I held on to a smidgen of a hope all through childhood that I could join the circus. And then in high school, they let you, when you were like a junior and a senior, they let you take elective PE classes. So they had like all different types of PE classes you could take. And I took circus stunts for a semester. And I feel
like you told me this. I remember being jealous of this.
I was so bad at it. Like you learned how to juggle, and you learned like they would put like a plank of wood on a ball, and you would have to learn how to balance on the plank. And it was fine. It was just a lot more like core work than I expected. I wanted the fun and frivolity.
Well, you know what, Gina? Based on what I learned at the International Clown Hall of Fame is they teach you all that stuff at clown school.
I'll go to clown school.
So you could just apply to clown school. The problem is the acceptance rate is very low because there's only 50 spots.
What is there just like one clown school?
Honestly, I think so.
Wow.
I could be wrong.
That's impressive.
But I think so. It's like the Barnum and Bailey Ringling Clown School. Yeah.
Okay, so it's cutthroat. I'm really intrigued.
At least that's the one. That's like the one people want to go to. That's the one that makes good clowns. It's the Yale of clown school. Except the acceptance rate at Yale and Harvard is higher than it is at the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Clown School. Another thing I learned.
I'll go to the community college version. Whatever the state school version of clown college is, I'll go.
Now that's where the clowns that make people afraid of clowns go to school.
That's so cool.
It's wild. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. So you endorsed.
It's very cool. Fully endorsed, 100%.
Nice.
Absolutely go there if you're ever in the area. It's in Baraboo, Wisconsin, the birthplace of the American circus.
That's what I always say.
Actually, also, yes, afterwards, we went to the Al Ringling Brewing Company. We went to the bar, which is, like, super haunted. Mm-hmm. I forgot, like, why I brought this up for spooky season. That's why. Yeah, so we went to the brewery. This place is known for being haunted by, like, the Ringling family. And I will say, it feels haunted. Like, I stepped in, and, like, anytime I'm anywhere that people say is haunted, my ears start ringing and popping, like, pretty consistently. The moment we stepped in, my ears were, like, bugging me. Like, the moment we stepped in. Even Phil was kind of like, this place has a vibe. It does have a vibe. You can, like, there's definitely a lot of energy there. That would be a cool place, because it's attached to the mansion, which is haunted. And it's like an Airbnb, and you can they do like investigations and haunted tours and stuff.
Hell yeah. Nice. Great. Well, not sponsored, but wannabe. We can add another one to the list.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait, how cool would that be if we were sponsored by them? But in the way that we pay them for donations.
We pay them for the right to say we're sponsored by them.
Wait, that's bad business.
I'll do it. I'll give them $10.
Wait, we could, what is that called? We could be a nonprofit if we did that. We could register as a nonprofit.
Have you seen those videos online of the chick who, like, she's making fun of nonprofit bosses?
I've not seen that, but I would like to. That's funny.
It's so funny. Yeah, I can't remember her username. I'll pop it in the show notes or over, like, in the YouTube, whatever. But she's really fucking funny. Yeah.
Well, that's all I have to say about the Clown Museum. So at the time this is published, we will be 1 week away from you being here.
My God! Yay! Well, hi, feature us.
No.
I hope you're excited.
We will literally be 4 days away from you being here at the time this is published. Yeah.
I'm so excited. It feels so close.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. I'm getting the weird thing when we haven't seen each other for a while, and I get nervous like I'm meeting you for the first time.
It's so funny you say that. I was going through I use that Time Hop app.
Yeah.
And something popped up whenever that was when you guys were here for my birthday, it was like the day you were coming in. I was like, I feel like I need to clean, but I don't know why. My house is clean, and like you've seen me at my grossest. But like I feel it's because you guys it was the first time you were seeing the house. We had just moved in.
Right. Yeah. And we were staying with you too, which is like extra host pressure because you can't get away from us. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
and
fun.
You can't get away from us.
I never want to.
Or my filthy home.
I think Tom would stay in your house forever, if only to see Spooky all the time. He misses Spooky so much.
Yeah. Spooky will be excited to see you guys.
So if you pick me up from the airport and I'm hammered, it's just because I'm nervous.
Well, if I pick you up from the airport and I'm hammered, so sorry.
And then we can finally use our funeral playlists.
Oh my God. Finally! After all this time. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Do you have a rating for our birthday cake ice cream?
I do. It's not that favorable.
That
it's a 2 out of 5, but I think I am the problem. I think it was me. I didn't actually get ice cream cake for any of the episodes we did this month. I had variations of
Classic.
Cake made with ice cream and cake with ice cream on top of it, which is not technically ice cream cake. So I give myself a 2 out of 5. Well, actually, I give myself a 1 out of 5. The 2 is because I like cake, and it was good.
Fair. Well, you're definitely not the problem, because if you're the problem, then I'm the problem, and I'm never the problem, because I also give it 2 out of 5.
Okay.
Fun fact about me, I don't actually like ice cream cake at all. I actively dislike it. But I did it for the bit, and it was nostalgic. Like I said, we always had it for, I think it was my dad's birthday. So, like, that was fun. I was like, oh, that cookie crumble they put in the center. I remember that. So, like, that was cute and fun. But as an overall experience, we don't have to do it again. But, like, we can for birthdays. Fully on board with doing it again, but don't want to, you know?
Fully on board with doing it again, but don't fucking... That was the most Libra answer. Yeah. I really don't want to do it, but I will.
Yes. Literally, welcome to my life. That's like any given moment. That's what's happening for me. Yes. I'm definitely a yes girl, but in the way that I hate it.
I don't know if I'm
But I've had a lot of experiences, most of them not good, but like I have stories, you know?
You've led a life.
Yeah, I'm so tired.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side, we have a very interesting topic today. I'm dying to hear about it.
We do. Okay. Speaking of doing things that overwhelm me, the topic today is Baba Yaga. And whew, this is a sweeping saga that is very similar to what we've discussed recently, the type of story I should not do because it's way too much. So of course I did it. And no regrets. This is one I don't regret. I did learn some things I didn't previously know, but for our listeners, I'm going to say right at the top, if you have additional information on her or a different version of her story, please send us information on it, because this is one where it could be a 10-part series or we could boil it down, and I chose to boil it down. So I'm going to start the story the way many of her stories start, and that is deep in the Slavic forest. There is a cottage, but it's not just any old cottage. The cottage is lofted on top of some giant chicken legs, and it moves around the forest in search of its next meal. A lost child, perhaps, who will be gobbled up by the terrifying witch of the woods, the infamous Baba Yaga. But perhaps the legend isn't exactly as straightforward as those telling it would have you believe. Yes, once again, this is a story where we've got a misunderstood woman on our hands.
Oh, shocker.
Yes, so weird. So part of the misunderstanding is over the centuries, people do wonder if she actually was based on a real woman. And there is no one woman, that people believe she was based on, or, one woman that specifically existed. But, right off the bat, people are already questioning, okay, is this a fairy tale or is this something that actually happens? Is this someone we should actually fear? So instead of trying to uncover the truth, is she real? Is she not real? Which is kind of where I thought this episode was going to go. I'm just going to focus on what is the version of her story that people typically tell. And it all started, this current version of her all started when she was first mentioned in written literature, and that was in 1755. She appeared in a Russian grammar book that was published by a man named Mikhail. Oh, God. Okay, so sorry. I looked it up and I'm panicking. Lomonosov, I think. I don't know. I do not speak Russian or anything remotely related. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Others suggest that written record of her dates back as early as 1591 in a book called Of the Rus Commonwealth, which was published in Russia but written by an Englishman named Giles Fletcher. Super British. We love a Giles. I obviously haven't read either of these books, so I don't know which one she actually first appeared in, but my suspicion is that the current version that we know of her appeared in 1755, and the 1591 may have been an early version, a story about someone or something that eventually evolved into who we know as Baba Yaga today. I'm kind of thinking in the Lilith episode, there is an early version of Lilith that was the Lily 2 that people consider Lilith, but it wasn't technically Lilith yet. So I'm kind of imagining the same thing. So there's a little debate on where Baba Yaga's story started. I don't want to say it doesn't matter which one she appeared in first, but part of the reason it might not be super important to her story is the fact that she existed in oral traditions even longer. So that's kind of a big reason there's so much ambiguity on who she was and what the story is and how she came to be. And that's because people were talking about her and telling specific stories about her outside of the confines of both of these publications for so long, and while they were being published and even after they were being published. So, right off the bat, there's so many different versions of her that exist alongside of each other, and then they've all kind of grown together into this one version that we have. One of the most, I'm going to say, important things that has been kind of lost to history is the etymology of her actual name. There's even debate on what her name means. That's how little we actually know about her. We know that in Slavic languages, so things like Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, etc., Baba can mean either grandmother or just a term of endearment for an elder woman. Yaga, however, has no clear or singular etymological meaning in any of the Slavic languages. So many people have tried to kind of triangulate what they think this might mean just based on context clues, and some say it likely translates to something to the effect of witch or horror, evil, wicked, things like that.
Okay.
Others say that it's possible the word denotes wisdom. So the meaning of her name falls somewhere between old witch and wise grandma.
Okay, sounds about right.
That's the spectrum.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, exactly. They also say that her story is likely a remnant of pre-Christian pagan traditions, and she likely represents 1/3 of the triple goddess archetype, nice. AKA maiden, mother, crone. So, and that's something you can kind of see, we see that in folklore all the time, and, her stories are folk tales, so that's a pretty safe assumption, I would say. Physical descriptions of her vary widely, but all of the descriptions that I've ever read embody kind of the classic wicked witch of the wood type archetype. So that's a starting point. That's something that, when people say Baba Yaga, the evil witch of the wood is where people's brains tend to go first. What that looks like exactly is different depending on where you are and what culture this story is being told in. But as I said, she's described as kind of an old crone. And one of the more interesting things that I found was she's described as kind of skeletal and emaciated with really bony legs and arms, which immediately that's not where my head goes when I think of Witch of the Wood. I think of like plump little old grandma.
Me too.
Type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Hansel and Gretel, kind of.
Yeah. Did you ever read the book Stregonona
No.
with the spaghetti?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
What is this?
Let me send you a picture of it real
Okay.
quick because I feel like you'll recognize the book cover.
Oh, yeah. I recognize this. Yes.
Yeah, so she's like she's not a witch, really. Or, I mean, maybe she is, kind of, I don't know. But she's not an evil witch, this little old lady in this storybook. But that's who I always imagine as, like, the Witch of the Wood. Like, plump apron, kerchief, cauldron, you know? Mm-hmm. And right off the bat, Baba Yaga is kind of the opposite of that. Like, you see her and it's immediately, like, very angular and sharp, you know? And she also is often described as being very small and kind of hunched over. She often has very long, like, razor sharp teeth. Sometimes it goes so far as to describe her as having literal razors for teeth, like iron blades in her mouth.
Dope.
Yeah. I know, right? Like,
I love that.
It's weird to think because she's supposedly, like, I don't want to say it's supposedly a real woman in, like, real life, but she's supposed to just be, like, a regular human who is a witch, but the witch description appears to be, there's a lot of liberties taken with, like, what a witch is, as we know, obviously. Yeah. But it's just interesting. And then the classic very long and pointy nose. Again, just very sharp and angular in all regards. Nothing warm and cozy about her. She's not like a plump, friendly grandma. Basically, her appearance has changed as her story has been told throughout the centuries. Like I said previously, and as the years have gone on, her appearance, you can kind of see in different stories about her, her appearance changes little by little, depending on, again, where the story is being told and what the story is actually about and what is the thing that people are supposed to fear as a result of this story. As an example, one of the reasons you can kind of deduce for her being kind of bony and underfed back in the 1700s, back when her story first started gaining a lot of traction and, she was first in print and all that, it was considered unappealing back then for a woman to be too skinny because that insinuated that she was undernourished and unable to carry a child. So the insinuation is that that's part of why Baba Yaga ended up in the woods, alone, by herself, no family or loved ones, is because she couldn't, like, quote, sustain a family, you know?
Well, that fucking sucks.
I know, yeah. And then in more modern depictions of her, sometimes you do see her as being kind of that, like, plump grandma type, only still, like, very scary looking, which, like, that's, like, kind of more the modern insinuation. We're kind of on the other side of the spectrum. However many decades or centuries it's been, like, quote-unquote not okay to be overweight, because in those stories, it's often associated with the concept of, like, greed. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that's a big, like, Hansel and Gretel theme, you know? Like, the kids are greedy for the candy. They get all fat and plump, and she pops them in the stew or whatever. So that's kind of the more modern connotation of what she looks like. Basically, we can kind of surmise that the purpose of her description is just to indicate that she is whatever is the most hideous version of a woman you can encounter alone in the woods. That is how she is described in each of these stories throughout history. But what's interesting is I feel like that is kind of why we are now in a period where she's often depicted in a much nicer way, because I'm going to reference the Lilith episode again, and I'm probably going to keep referencing it because I feel like this is just the crone version of the Lilith episode. They can both be considered two different parts of the triple goddess, and we're a lot more empathetic to witches in general nowadays. And I think that, we're in an era of life where people are starting to empathize with the bad guys, quote unquote, that, didn't really get a lot of empathy previously. Those stories about all the evil witches that eat kids or curse you in the woods. It's like, well, what the hell were you doing on their property in the first place? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So I feel like that's kind of the era we're in societally, at least parts of it. And so you often hear stories about her told from a different lens. She's, sometimes she's still scary, but the fear she induces is not meant to be fearsome to those who have good intentions. She's no longer just this blanket statement, black or white, good or bad, evil, nice, She has a lot more nuance now, and a lot of the negative depictions of her have a positive spin or have a more realistic spin. No one is inherently good or evil. That's a spectrum, And she very much reflects that in the stories told about her. With that being said, one thing that has not changed in her stories is her infamous hut. As previously stated in the intro, it is said that she lives in a house that stands atop 2 giant chicken legs. So just imagine like a chicken, but instead of a body, it's a house. And when a visitor, or often more appropriate per her stories, an intruder approaches her property, the house will get up on its legs and spin, basically to avoid letting the person into the door.
I need one of
it
those.
it will just keep turning around to make sure that people can't get into it. It's also protected by a white picket fence, except instead of wood, the fence is made out of human bones.
Oh, good.
Yes. And if, you stumble upon her hut in the deep, dark depths of night, don't worry, because she also has lanterns sprinkled around her property made out of human skulls. They're glowing in the eyeball.
No ways.
In the eyeballs. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Love it.
What is that? Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Root to stem, baby.
So one of my favorite things that I did not know about her, I really was only familiar with her hut. It's said that when she does leave her hut, which she doesn't often do, she rides around in a mortar, and she uses a pestle as basically an oar.
What?
To get her
Really?
through the woods. Yes. Yep. And obviously the regions that this story was originally being told, very snowy, particularly in the winter months. So a lot of the imagery of her is kind of gliding through snowbanks, using her pestle to push herself through the woods.
Fuck
And
yeah.
she's basically using it as a sled. Yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously the witch and her broom is a classic image, very important trope in the witchcraft community. So in a lot of versions of her story, she does have a broom with her when she's riding around in this mortar, but instead of riding it, because she already has a ride, she uses it to sweep away the track that's left behind her so no one can follow her.
That's so smart.
Yeah, I just love that image of her, because they do that, you know what that reminds me of? They do that in 101 Dalmatians. Do you
Yes,
remember that?
I do.
When they're running
yeah.
from Cruella de Vil? That's what, it's the quaint version of what she does.
I just feel that would be such a pain in the... With a big-ass pestle, and it's making troughs in the snow. That's got to be a serious broom.
That's different from just footsteps. Yeah, that's that must be... That all sounds very heavy, which is interesting because she's supposedly bony and emaciated. You'd think that she'd be beefy as hell, right?
A lot of upper body strength. Baba Yaga's fucking buff. Buffa Yaga.
Buffa Yaga. Oh my god, wait, that's fantastic. I can see that as a gym shirt.
I would wear that, yes.
Oh my god, if you want Buffa Yaga merch, let us know. icecreamyouScreampod@gmail.com. So, as any good, or I guess I shouldn't say good, as any evil witch does, she of course has some companions, or I don't know if they would be considered familiars, but she's got little helper people. In some stories, she has these... I couldn't visualize them, and I couldn't find any images to show them to me, so I'm not fully understanding, but the way I'm understanding it, please correct me if I'm wrong, is she's got these hands that, like, creep and crawl around for her. Think of, like, Thing
Yes,
from the
that's
Addams
exactly
Family.
what I was thinking of.
Yes. It is my understanding that she has a pair of hands, and, you know, they're her little helper guys. And in a lot of stories, she also has what are known as kind of her servants, who manifest as spirits in the woods. And these are kind of more ambiguous. They appear and manifest as very different types of things, and depending on which story you're hearing. But it's basically just a spirit that permeates the woods that kind of allows her to have eyes on the woods at all time. One story, they literally manifest as riders who, like, kind of go throughout the wood and just keep watch on who's wandering through the woods, but they appear to just be men on horses. In others, it's wild animals, so, you know, it could be a fox or a deer or just whatever might be out there. Sometimes it's just the elements, you know, she could be in the water, the wind, just what, it could be anything, really. And that's one of the ones that I did have to boil it down, because it almost feels like every single story I found of hers, it manifested as something different. So I don't know if I think the hands are the only things that are consistently the same quote unquote creature or thing or whatever. Everything else, the spirits are kind of just whatever she needs them to be depending on what's happening.
Those hands sound useful.
Yeah.
Very handy.
I'm going to be telling a story here in a second, and it's funny because in the stories I found that included the hands, they kind of just pop up at some point. Like, they're not really doing anything, but, like, being a menacing presence. So this is one of those things that if any of you listening out there do have a concrete and more in-depth explanation on the hands or hand or whatever they may be, and the spirit in general, I would love someone to send it my way, because I'm so curious about them, but they are really ambiguous. So the story is called, I think her name is Vasilisa the Beautiful. I'm going to be saying Vasilisa because I don't know how to pronounce it. I did Google all of these things ahead of time. I want everyone to know. My brain doesn't work, and I got like 7 different answers for all of these. So
I just keep hearing Vaseline.
Once upon a time.
Sorry.
Oh, I know, me too. That's
okay.
Yeah, I think that's why I landed on it, because I'm like, that's easy for me to like say Vasilisa. Yeah. It's probably like Vasilisa or something. I don't know. Anywho, once upon a time, there was a merchant who had a beautiful wife and a lovely daughter named Vasilisa, probably. They were very happy, and they loved each other very, very much. Everything was wonderful, just great vibes all around. Eventually, sadly, as it goes in fairy tales, mom dies. Classic. Mm-hmm. So she had gotten very sick. It was wintertime, and she came down with something tragic. I don't know what it was. And it was kind of a long, slow death. But before she died, she gifted Vasilisa a doll. And the doll had been blessed with the mother's love, so Vasilisa would never be lonely after her mother died. And this doll wasn't just any ordinary doll. Like I said, it had been blessed. And when Vasilisa fed the doll a little something to eat, maybe a cookie or a nice treat, the doll would essentially, I'm going to say, come to life and help Vasilisa in times of trouble. So after her mother's death, the days turned to weeks, and weeks turned to months, and eventually the merchant grew lonely, and he decided that Vasilisa needed a mother, so he ended up marrying a widow who had 2 daughters. Not sure if this story format is familiar to anyone else.
I was just thinking that.
So he didn't want, Vasilisa to grow up with a mother. He was afraid that she was going to be lonely, but she wasn't lonely because she had her doll. And as she got to know her new stepmother and stepsisters, she realized that the doll was much better company than they could ever be, because the stepmother specifically, but also therefore her daughters as well, deeply disliked Vasilisa for no other reason than she was beautiful and kind, and the stepmother just basically knew that she could never be as loved as much as Vasilisa was.
Okay.
As punishment for this stepmother's lack of self-confidence, she assigned all of the most difficult and painful chores around the house to Vasilisa. These were things like chopping wood, cleaning the fireplace, going to hunt for vegetables and wood things. While the stepsisters barely needed to do anything, they would occasionally wipe a counter, and that would be enough for their dainty little fingers. What the stepmother didn't know is that the doll was helping Vasilisa with all of these chores. And the doll was basically keeping her company while she would work, and then when she would get too tired or sore or sad, the doll would step in and help her, and they'd basically tag team everything. So this was just how her childhood was. This is what was happening moving forward. As years went on, Vasilisa grew into a beautiful and lovely woman who had countless young suitors practically banging down the door trying to call for her. But the stepmother sent all of them away, was just pretending it wasn't happening. She didn't want anyone calling on this stepdaughter of hers before her own daughters. They just kept calling and calling and calling until the stepmother devised a plan to keep Vasilisa from finding a suitor. One day, when the merchant left for one of his long trading trips, he'd be gone for months and months and months at a time, the stepmother packed up the family and she just moved them all to a different house.
My God.
Yeah, I know. I was literally going to pause here because what the fuck? So she moves them to the edge of the forest. And the reason she's picked this spot is because she knew that it was right on the edge of the forest near where Baba Yaga's hut was.
Okay.
So what she would do is she would send Vasilisa into this part of the forest to look for wood and other supplies, basically just, what her chores typically were. But this time she knew that she was searching and foraging nearby Baba Yaga's hut, which was thought to be unsafe. So Vasilisa would go and do her chores, but she always had the doll with her, so no matter where she would go, the doll would guide her away from Baba Yaga's hut because she was helping her. So finally the stepmother grows frustrated, and she demands that Vasilisa go directly to Baba Yaga's hut because the wood that she had been collecting was not good enough for the fire that they needed. And she wanted her to go and ask Baba Yaga directly for some wood for the fire, or something, a lantern or something like that. So Vasilisa goes into the forest with her doll in her pocket, and she's hoping that the witch is nowhere to be found. Along the way, she comes upon these 3 horsemen dressed in white, red, and black, and they guide her to Baba Yaga's house, surrounded by her fence of bones and skulls to light her way. It's very quiet and very dark in the forest, and she's not sure if she should approach the bones, but the doll guides her forward. So she's like, okay, if my doll is helping me, then I guess it's safe, but she's still very nervous and doesn't really want to do it. As she gets closer to the gate, the witch comes crashing out of the woods, into the clearing where her house was. And she's riding on the mortar, and she's waving her broom and waving her pestle, and she demands to know why Vasilisa is at her door. So Vasilisa explains her stepmother's request for, evening light, and Baba Yaga agrees to give her something to help light their house in the middle of the night, but under one condition. Vasilisa must work as a servant for Baba Yaga to earn the light. And if she doesn't complete the task to her liking, she'll die a terrible, tragic, painful death.
That does not seem worth it.
Right?
It's a whole lot of work.
I know. So Vasilisa agrees because she's like, I don't have much choice. It's either be in physical pain here or go home to my stepmother for more emotional pain. So she's just whatever at this point, who cares? So she agrees, the bones open up and, the doors lock behind her and the hands come out and, like, guide her into the house and, like, show her what she's supposed to be doing. So Baba Yaga has given her the full list of tasks to complete. That's, like, what the hands were, like, describing to her. But with the help of the doll, she was able to finish everything to perfection in, like, an astonishingly small amount of time. As she's finishing, the 3 horsemen from the wood approached and, like, basically surveyed the house, and upon their nod of approval, that, like, signified to Baba Yaga that she has done, what she was supposed to do the way that Baba Yaga would want it to be done, and there was no, like, funny business or anything like this. And Vasilisa, at this point, she's realizing these aren't just any old 3 horsemen, weird shit going on with the hands, so she asks Baba Yaga who the horsemen are, what's up with the hands, and Baba Yaga responds saying that they're spirits who help keep watch in the forest, and they help her know what's going on. But she demands that Vasilisa not ask any more questions specifically about the hands, or she will be eaten for prying into Baba's business.
Okay. Wow.
So that's why I don't know a lot about these hands, because this is how, like, so many stories go. So, upon the nod of approval from these 3 horsemen, Baba Yaga gives one last review of Vasilisa's work, and she asks her how she could possibly have accomplished all these tasks so well. She's, like, impressed with Vasilisa. She was not expecting this to be the outcome. So Vasilisa tells her about the blessing her mother bestowed upon her, and Baba Yaga immediately recoils and throws her out of the house because she wants nothing to do with those who have been blessed.
Ha 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 ha. Love it. Okay, sick.
But before Vasilisa leaves, before she exits through the bony gates, Baba Yaga holds up her end of the bargain and gifts Vasilisa a skull with eternally burning eyes to use as a lamp. And Vasilisa wants to get rid of it. She wants nothing to do with the skull. At this point, she's, like, so freaked out. She's like, this, like, is cursed. I don't want it, blah, 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 blah. So when she's made it far away enough, is that right? Far enough away from the hut so as not to disrespect or, disrespect Baba Yaga by, like, tossing it into the woods. That's what she plans to do. But the skull, like, basically telepathically warns her that if she does reject Baba Yaga's gift, the spirits are watching and she will have a treacherous fate.
Okay.
Another ambiguous thing. Probably she will get eaten.
So
she keeps the skull. Yes, yeah, you didn't have to warn her.
Yeah.
So when she gets back, her stepmother is astonished to see her because she thought for sure she was going to get eaten. But she was kind of gleeful at the fact that she was, like, dirty and exhausted and very clearly experienced some wild shit and trauma in the witch's hut. So Vasilisa hands the skull to her stepmother, and she's like, okay, I have to have this stepdaughter, but at least, she did bring back light. And she's looking at the skull, and she's completely mesmerized by it. She was not expecting to see a lantern like this. And as she leans closer to get a better look at the ember eye sockets, it bursts into flames, and it incinerates the stepmother and the 2 stepdaughters in an explosion of fire.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So Vasilisa takes the skull, buries it outside, and flees out of the woods and back into the city closer to where they used to live. And she ends up taking up work as a cloth maker, and that's where she just is while she waits for her father to come back from his trading trip. And Vasilisa does such great work with the help of this doll, making the finest, most luxurious fabric that it gets the attention of the king, who calls on Vasilisa so he can ask how she makes such fine fabric. And when she gets there, he takes one look at her and falls madly in love. And then they wait for her dad to come back so that they can have a royal wedding, and then they all live happily ever after. This is a weird fucking story, but I love it. This was like my favorite one that I read.
I love that Baba Yaga's not the bad guy. Really far from it.
She's not, but it's interesting because so many people still consider her like she's an evil witch in this story. At the time that this was written, I'm not going to fall too much down a rabbit hole here because this is, one of the things that I could talk about forever. But at the time this story was being told as like an oral tradition, it was so awful of her to like murder the head of the household, like this.
I didn't even think about that. I was just like, kill the bitch.
You don't. Right, as you should, because what a bitch. But, like, you don't disrespect your elders. Doesn't matter how they are toward you. You know what I mean? Like, now, there's some leeway with that.
A little bit.
But when this story was created, she was an evil monster for doing this. But then you also had sympathy for Vasilisa, so, of course, she's also going to get her happy ending. You know what I mean? Like, that's why it's so layered, because no one viewed this as good for Baba Yaga. That evil stepmother had it coming. They viewed it as, oh my God, how dare she commit this murder? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, this is my favorite one that I read. And I only read a few. There's many stories about Baba Yaga, but it's my favorite for a couple reasons. One, I just love a princess fairy tale. We love the Cinderella vibes over here in my household, and by my household I just mean Mimi. But Baba Yaga's role in this story, the other reason that I love it is because of what we just described. Her purpose is so layered, and I really, really love the layer of her like rejecting the blessing, because that's such a fun detail that means something so different nowadays than it did back when it was being told. You know what I mean? Like, that one little detail is my favorite, because she was impressed with Vasilisa, and, she was kind of being nice before she learned about the blessing, and then she was like, get out of here. And I just, like, I don't know, I feel like that's such a vibe, and I respect it, and I hope to be like that someday.
I could see that for you someday when you're living on chicken legs in the woods. I really love the idea of your evil stepmother sending you out for, like, a light bulb from Home Depot, and you come back with a flaming fucking skull that explodes her.
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. Story, it's one little fairy tale, but it's got a lot in it.
It does.
This is such a great example. I mean, we've already talked about this, but I feel like we could talk about it forever. This is such a great example of Baba Yaga's duality, and also how she's changed, throughout different cultures and time periods, and just how society has changed. She's kind of proof that people can be both feared and respected. She's someone who punishes people, but an important piece of that we recognize now that they maybe either didn't recognize or chose to ignore back then is that she only punishes those who have earned that punishment. When Vasilisa even teeters on the boundary between what Baba Yaga deemed like appropriate versus not appropriate to talk to her about, she warned her, and she said, don't ask about my hands or I'm going to kill you. Like she sets boundaries, and she makes it very clear what's going to happen if you cross those boundaries. And, boundary setting is a big hot topic now. I feel like this is we're in a time period where people are like learning it's okay to set boundaries and you don't have to, live with an evil stepmother who hates you if you don't want to, and it's okay if you choose not to. But yeah, I think this is a really, really good example of a story that has inspired people to take a second look at Baba Yaga, and instead of just viewing her as an old evil witch who just enjoys being evil, can think of her more as like someone who is going to hold people accountable and like not let them get away with being horrible people. One of the things that she represents is kind of the boundary between life and death, good and evil. And I like that. I like that so much of her story does have to do with boundaries and like maintaining those boundaries. And yeah, I think that she's kind of just a reminder that we're all like nuanced people with good and evil inside of all of us.
And some of us have more evil than others.
Yes, yes, we do.
Mainly us. We have most of the evil. Everyone else.
We have all the evil.
Yeah. We're the emergency. It's like how the U.S. has like an emergency stockpile of, like, I don't know, seeds or something. Or maybe that's a global thing.
Do we? I thought you were going to say missiles.
No, God, no. No. I'm not in the mood to talk about missiles today. There's some organization. I can't remember if it's the U.S. or if it's like an independent thing where they have like...
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's
like, yeah,
they have seeds from like, if there was an apocalypse, what would we need to whatever, agriculture. We are that, but with evil.
Yeah. I don't think that's our government. I think that that's a private entity, but that's just my hunch. Regardless, wouldn't that be so awesome if we actually did hold the power over all the evil in the world and we could just divvy it up? I would definitely redistribute.
Oh my gosh, that would be interesting. Because there's so many different types of evil. Even evil is nuanced. Well, that was fascinating. Thank you very much. I enjoyed
You're
that.
welcome. Do you perhaps have something you would like to share?
I do have something for you today. We got an email from our friend Brooke.
Yes! Yay. Okay, cool.
And I'm going to read it to you. It says... Hey, spooky ladies. First off, I think it's wild that you've been around for a year. Hard agree. It's also crazy that your birthday is my wedding anniversary.
Oh,
happy anniversary.
I didn't know that. Wait.
Me neither.
I love that. Oh my gosh, happy anniversary.
It's a great anniversary.
Yeah.
She goes on to say, I have a small little story that happened a lot while I was pregnant. I'm not sure how much you know about the Hat Man, but once you know about him...
Oh, God.
Once you know about him, he sticks with you. While I was pregnant, I had the worst insomnia. There were many nights I would take Benadryl just so I could get some sleep, and usually that would knock me out, but no, it just made me groggy and go in and out of sleep. During those nights, when I would open my eyes, I would see the Hat Man in my closet. And seeing him would give me the eeriest feeling, and I would struggle to sleep after. There were a couple nights where I would see the Hat Man, but able to go back to sleep, but would wake up again to see the figure closer and closer to me each time. The night after one of these nights, where he would get closer, I usually wouldn't sleep much at all. I would dread seeing the Hat Man because being pregnant, you have to pee all the time. And I would have to pass my closet to go to the bathroom. Not a fun time when you don't want to get out of bed, but absolutely need to pee. I know it has been a thing that people take Benadryl in hopes to see the Hat Man, and I think those people are insane. I didn't know that was a thing.
I never knew that. Fuck that.
No way.
What the fuck? Who is doing that? icecreammusicandprod@gmail.com. Let us know if you do that. Are you okay? What the fuck?
You don't need to take cough syrup to summon a fucking demon. There are other routes you can go down. There are people who can support you. Anyway, a couple topics that always come to mind when I'm thinking about the Hat Man are Uncanny Valley and the Dream Man. If you haven't seen a picture of the Dream Man, look it up and then think back to your dreams. And if you haven't seen him in your dreams yet, he's probably coming. I
don't know about the Dream Man.
I don't know about the Dream Man either, but that's perfect because the next thing she says is, I would love to hear your takes on the Hat Man, Uncanny Valley, and the Dream Man. Happy spooky season and happy birthday. Stay spooky. Here is a pic of my baby girl in her first pair of spooky pants.
Oh!
I'll send it to you.
Wait.
All right, I just texted it to you.
I haven't seen the baby.
She's so cute. And she's wearing little ghost trousers.
Oh, stop. She's so cute. We're not going to show all of you out there.
No.
But trust, she's adorable.
She's so cute.
So cute. Yay. That's our first pod baby.
It is our first little podling. A true little spoon.
Listen, Brooke, we've been patiently waiting for spooky pregnancy stories because all pregnant women have weird experiences, and we just fully trusted that you would have some too. I am not familiar with Dream Man, though.
Me neither. I wasn't familiar with the Hat Man. I had to look that up.
Oh my god, really? Okay,
Yeah.
Hat Man fucks me up. I hate stories about the like, I love stories about the Hat Man because they're so scary, but I hate hearing them because I'm so scared that the more I hear them, I'm scared. He's never come for me. I've never seen Hat Man, and I don't want to.
You're gonna summon him?
And I'm scared that, I'm scared the more I hear about him, I'm scared he's gonna come. Hat Man really scares me because so many people experience him combined with like he's a big like sleep paralysis guy, and I'm just like, man, I just don't want to see Hat Man. Oh god, I'm so scared. Okay.
Yeah, not a huge fan.
I'm looking up Dream Man.
So I just Googled it. I do know what this is. I have heard it. I didn't know that it was like known as Dream Man.
Oh, I don't like that
yeah.
picture. That scared me.
Yeah, it's freaky.
Oh, I don't know about this. Why does that startle me so bad?
It's a
There's
freaky,
like an...
It's definitely an Uncanny Valley face. I fucking love Uncanny Valley shit because I think it's interesting to pick out specifically what parts of the thing are Uncanny Valley, like what takes it from looking real to looking just slightly off. But this is unsettling.
Yeah. Okay, I'm internally losing my mind because in the images tab on Google, there is one with Dream Man with a side-by-side with George Clooney, which is a wild thing to do. Like, I'm not going to click on that link because I don't want to see more. But the illustrations aren't so bad. Like, the big one's the illustration, but it's the ones where he's been created into, like, a real person that I don't like.
Yeah, those
which
are
I feel
creepy.
kind of bad because he also, like, looks like he could just be some guy. I feel like he'd be like, he'd work in, like, a call center or something.
But there's something about
There's
the
something
face.
about the shape.
It's not right.
Yeah.
It's not quite right.
He looks like he's in one of those, like, fishbowl lens
Yes.
things.
Yeah, or like...
Go ahead.
I was going to... Have you ever seen the, like, what if Bert and Ernie were real? What would they look like? That's
God, I do. I've not, and I don't want to see that.
It's freaky, and it looks like that.
That is nightmare fuel. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see that. Yeah, I like reading about the psychology behind Uncanny Valley. I don't like seeing things that are Uncanny Valley because I don't like that electroshock type of fear, and that's what it gives me. You know what I'm talking about?
If I saw an Uncanny Valley thing in real life, yes. But when I'm just like in the safety of my little computer looking at pics, I feel like I'm okay.
See, that's interesting because I'm the opposite. If I saw an Uncanny Valley person in real life, I'd just be like, ooh, that's unfortunate. But, like, people are too creative on the computer for me. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like, I don't know. I also think it's, like, within the confines of, I understand that I'm looking at something that is supposed to be creepy, where if it was just out in the wild, I would just assume it was a very ugly person. You know what I mean?
Like, I would assume that it was like a doppelganger or a changeling or a mimic or like something, you know, that's like taking on the form of a human.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't say I would feel this way because I really don't know. I've never been in this situation.
I hope we never are.
But, yeah, me too. But I have one of the... Does it ever happen to you where, like, your algorithm is totally normal, and then once the sun goes down, it's like, why am I getting all this paranormal, like, actually scary paranormal stuff all of a sudden? Does that happen to your algorithm?
No, because I've trained my algorithm out of trying to scare me.
Man. I was just going to say, I don't know how to do that, but I do. It's because I need to stop looking at scary stuff.
Stop looking at it. Stop engaging.
But I like it. I like it during the daytime. But it doesn't serve any of that up. In the daytime, I have to go looking for it at the daytime. What? In the daytime. And then, you know, I'm trying to look at baby hippos and, you know, cute cats after the lights are out. But it's like, nope, now we're ready. Yeah. Anyway. I would, honestly, yeah, I could talk about Uncanny Valley and all that for a long time. So thank you for asking, Brooke. We should do something. What is there a theme that we could do for Uncanny Valley? I guess that would just be Uncanny Valley.
It'd be a great mini scoop for Patreon, I think.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. I don't, honestly, we would have to just do a whole bonus episode on that. I could talk about that for days, but we should start with a mini scoop. We'll have like 5 mini scoops on it.
Yes. Yes, I like that. Mini scoop series. A flight of mini scoops.
A flight. A scoop flight.
A scoop
I love
flight.
that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for sending this in, Brooke. And thank you for the picture of your adorable little baby girl.
Yeah, she's so cute.
Thank you.
Very cute. I love a spooky baby.
Me too. Yeah, but I think... we should talk about what we're doing next month, shouldn't we?
Oh, yeah, we rated our ice cream and then moved on. Yes, what are we doing next month? What's happening?
We are telling stories about small towns. Ooh. Creepy, spooky, eerie small towns. And we are having... Do you want to do the ice cream since I did the topic?
Okay, yes. Sure.
Sure, Gina, I sure can.
Sure, Gina. I totally remembered what we were doing and did not just need you to tell me and subsequently edit it out. We will be having ice cream from our favorite local ice cream brands.
Hooray!
So that will obviously be different for each of us. We have very different locales. So, interpretation, up for interpretation. We might be eating different things this month, but who knows?
Fuck it and find out.
Focus is local.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all we have for you today.
Cool.
Until next time, little spoons, keep it cool.
And keep it creepy.